Welcome to Let Me Tell You About Jezebel, presented by Asbury Park and Curtis.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Ashley Joe. Welcome to our show. Let me tell you about Jezebel. I'm here with my brother and co host, Scott.
What's up? What's up? So, Jezebel, that's on Netflix today, right?
That is correct. It's on Jezebel. It's on Jezebel. It's on Netflix. uh, it, the movie, let me tell you a little bit about the movie. So, it came out last year, 2019. It's directed by Numa Perrier. You might know her from the show Queen Sugar. She directed quite a few of those episodes as well.
I saw her. I feel like I've seen her face sometime before. I didn't look her up to see what things she had been in as an actress, but I feel like I've seen her someplace before. Anyway, give me the little summary. So if someone's looking at Netflix, because basically, before I get too far into it, for those who've never been with us before, we're going to talk a little bit about this movie, give you a little bit, give you no spoilers, a little bit, and then we're going to spoil the heck out of it in a few minutes. And hopefully, you'll if you like the movie, you'll watch it. And if we turned you off of it or turned you onto it, whatever the case may be, you'll just let us know how you liked it. Anyway, Ash, go ahead.
True. Because we all got time, but nobody has time for a bad movie. so, uh, Netflix says during the internet's infancy, a vulnerable woman follows her sister into the sex industry as a webcam model, but her sudden popularity tests their bond. Okay, I wouldn't have quite summarized it that way, but they put some class on that.
Yeah, that description doesn't really give it justice to me because I felt the same way. I was like, this is not the movie that I signed up for based on that description. With this one, and again, we're not going to do any spoilers, but with this one, it was more of a meditation piece on webcamming and poverty and just trying to get by. You know what I mean? Like at least that's the way I took it.
Yeah, I kind of felt that it was like peeking in somebody's window that you shouldn't have picked. Like I picked the wrong apartment to, to focus on and to get all up in their business. And I was a fly on the wall, and it was interesting, but I wouldn't watch it again. Oh, maybe
Yeah.
yeah, something
No,
like
well,
that.
yeah. I mean, that's your honest reaction. I kind of felt the same way. I was like, my inner perv. You say the sex industry. I'm thinking at the very least, I'm going to see some skin and a little bit of this, and it was a little bit, but there was a lot of things that it just didn't deliver on for me to make this a really interesting and engaging film, and that was disappointing. Because when I sit down to look at something like this, you're at least expecting to be challenged in some way. And I didn't feel as though it was a challenge for me. There's a lot of things left on the table.
You know what? For me, it gave the creepy creep side of the sex industry and not the allure. So there was nothing alluring about it or anything that was glitzy and glamorous, but it definitely gave you the underbelly of the sex industry. Like,
I,
oh,
you
this
know
is how
what?
people doing it.
I don't even think it gave us enough of that. That was my problem with it. It didn't go far enough with regard to, the underbelly and what you're describing. I mean, yeah, it gave you a little bit, but it was like you know what? Let's give our grades because I don't think this is one that we have to go through a whole lot of as far as like the pre-spoiler. I think you can afford to be spoiled on this one. So if you had to grade this one, what would you grade this
Epic fail F. There you go.
one? I would give it a D. For me to have it fail, it'd have to like fail really really hard where I couldn't find anything of value, and I found a couple of things of value in here that are
Well,
worth exploring.
enlighten me because I have zero.
All right, so if we get into let's get into spoilers. So basically, spoilers for this movie. Uh, the movie starts out where basically we're introduced to this family, a big sister, um, who is at the beginning of the movie uh, doing sex talk on the phone. She's what is it?
Phone sex operator.
Thank you.
Girl 6.
Yeah,
Tease.
yeah, tease, yes, because it was not girl six.
No.
So so, but and I like the aspect of that she's in this apartment. She's in a one bedroom apartment with her with her siblings. She got a baby sister that she's caring for. Her younger brother, her younger sister. The title Jezebel is named Tiffany, but she eventually will call herself Jezebel. And her boyfriend all live in this one bedroom apartment. At night, she spends most of the evening doing phone sex with random people, in order to make money so that they can live and
And
survive.
let's be
I
clear, because it's a one bedroom apartment, she's not only having phone sex with the dude on the phone, but the entire apartment can hear her.
Yeah, yes. So all of her little siblings, everybody can hear her moaning and groaning on the bed every night as she does this work.
Awkward.
But you know what? I don't mind that because it shows you that it's real, and I get that. If you're living hand to mouth and you can't go out and do certain things, and this is your life, and this is how you got to make money to make ends meet. There's no time for being bashful. What they say, I don't know if you remember My Fair Lady, but one of the lines from there is middle class morality. There's a lot of people who apply middle class morality to people who are living
Low
in a
class.
more desperate. No, I won't say low class. It's just people living a little bit more in poverty, living like where they need money on a day to day basis. And it's like for someone who's living like that, hand to mouth, where they have to make it. It's not about just saving up for the week or the month. It's like, how can I get through today and get into tomorrow and still have food and da 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 da. You don't have time to give thought, and it's like, well, I can't be loud in here because my little sister might hear me moaning. It's like, no, this is how I pay these bills. This is how I do it. It's like, if you want, you eventually you gonna try to have to do something of your own or something in order to make some money, because that's basically what she does with her
Oh
with
yeah,
Tiffany, the girl
grooming
Jezebel.
for the next generation.
Basically, I mean, yeah. So I
And I
get that.
guess
I feel
one small positive I can pull out of there is at least she ain't have to say, "Hold on, y'all shut up." In the
yeah.
background, everybody knew they role. Everybody
Yeah.
tiptoed around her, but that's still very awkward. Like, yeah, we struggling to survive, but dude, your mom, okay, maybe it's not your mom, but we're siblings. I don't want to hear you moaning and groaning to pay the rent. Like, I'ma really be like, can we do something else?
So you have
Can we
this.
go to work at McDonald's? Is that
That's
an
that's the
option?
thing. That's the thing. It's like you're living from your experience. I'm trying when
That's
I'm watching a
true.
movie like this, I'm trying to engage and be in their experience and get immersed. And to me, the best movies are the ones where I can totally just doesn't matter what you're doing, goodbye, bad guy, whatever. I can totally immerse myself in the story and feel what you're feeling and get moved emotionally. And with this one, like I say, okay, so the movie starts out with her on the bed doing this phone sex, kind of establishing that we're watching her. This is her normal thing. And her boyfriend comes in the morning, and you can tell he's a little annoyed because apparently Tiffany, which is the titled Jezebel character, she's been staying with them. It seems like temporarily, while her mother is in the hospital, and she's staying there while her mother's in the hospital, apparently dying. And that was my first issue with it. The mother. We never get to see the mother. We never get to engage with her. We don't know hardly anything about her. It seems like they want to get all this emotional weight out of the mother and her eventual death, but I don't connect with her because they don't connect with her. Not really.
Yeah, it wasn't clear to me that this wasn't a young mom and her kids at first. I didn't see their siblings, probably because of the phone sex thing, but it took me a while to kind of determine what their relationships were to each other. And I'm just
Hmm.
like, who's this middle aged white guy? Gave me creeps from the beginning because he just looked like the odd guy out. Like, well, who
Hmm.
are you? Why is Uncle Dan here? So it took me a minute to get clear on who everybody was.
No, I got well. Yeah, he took me by surprise just because, like you're saying, he kind of stands out a little bit. But once I saw that I think they established right away that he was a caretaker, at least a partial caretaker to the young girl, because there's it must be like maybe between 8 and 12, a little girl there that stays with them, and that's their sister, um,
Hmm.
their little sister. And so it seemed like he was taking, he had taken care of her as well. And he's got a bug up his behind about Tiffany being there and kind of crowding them out. And that's what the
Right.
problem. I was like, I don't understand. So it's like she wasn't always living there. So where was she living before? I didn't understand that. It's like, why is the mother in the hospital near them? They didn't do enough to establish what's going on with why she's staying with them and why it's a problem now. If it doesn't seem like she was always staying there. It seems like this is a new thing. So where was she before? You know?
So maybe it's a woman thing where that goes totally over my head and I just see red flag after red flag after red flag. Like, why is there a grown man living with these little girls in a one bedroom apartment? Why does he doesn't seem like their father because he doesn't have like in charge, yes, but parent, no. I didn't see that connection. And just something about little girls and grown men, even with the sister, just automatically is a epic fail for me. Like, well, what I'm expecting the worst things to happen in this scenario from the
Hmm.
jump.
And I think part of the problem with the movie that I had was all of what you're saying is right. There were places where you could say this is a red flag, this is a red flag, but nothing ever became of that.
Sort of.
There was well, basically because of Uncle Dan coming in, I can't remember his name at this moment, and giving his girlfriend, which is the older sister, issue because it's like, oh well, Tiffany's here and she's not contributing, she's not helping out, da 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 da
Even though
da.
he don't have no damn job, let's put that on the table.
Yes, that's true. He and the her younger brother also is not working right now, but they're working on it according to them. So basically, she says, "Okay, Tiffany, you need to go and find a job." She has a connection for her, a line on the job of not phone sex, but webcam model, where they can make some good money doing that. So she sends her out to an interview, which turns out to be as long as you are good looking and have no scars, because the guy checks her out when she actually gets into the
Yeah,
interview, checks out her
another
body.
awkward, uncomfortable moment because I'm looking at a child and another creepy older dude. Okay, take off your bra, take off your panties. Like, oh, what is going on here? Y'all couldn't get a second phone line. I'm sure she know how to moan and groan by now. Like, why she couldn't just pick up the phone was where I was at.
See, with me, I didn't have a problem with him asking. Like, I was waiting for him to be creepy. That wasn't creepy to me. Him because what are they doing? They are a webcam service, so yeah, he has to see her naked. The other part of it is if she's going to be on screen and doing all the stuff that he was going to want her to do, she can't be bashful to the point where she can't even be naked in front of him. Like that's like the first test, and just to see if she's even capable of doing the job at all. So I didn't really have an
That's
issue with it.
true.
I thought he was going to be, leery and reaching over there and grab. No, he didn't. He was very respectful under the circumstances to me. Very respectful of all the things he could have done. He didn't do any of that sleazy stuff when it came to interviewing her.
That's true.
And
I guess I just have my prude glasses on the whole time because, ugh,
well, yeah.
ew. And if I can make money and support six people in a one bedroom apartment on the phone, why would I put my little sister on camera?
because maybe that's a way to make more. She's saying like this is a thing,
Okay.
she because I think the big sister Numa, I can't think of her character name, but the director is actually the older sister. She's an attractive woman, but she's a little out of shape, and so I can see how she wouldn't necessarily go in for webcam modeling if that was something, maybe that she's not comfortable doing that. That didn't seem like her style, if you will. Like, I'm not gonna go out there and try and be glamorous or anything like that. I can do this where I don't have to worry about appearance or anything. I can just kind of make this money and do this. My sister, on the other hand, she's younger. They're gonna like that. This is something that I know she could probably do and make some money with. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I can see, like, you don't have to. I don't have to go far to see how the mind would work to make that, to make the connections where she would see that would be a better fit for her doing that. Plus, you only got a one room apartment, and the whole apartment can hear what's her name moaning and groaning. So how you gonna have two people in there moaning and groaning at the same time? It just wouldn't make sense.
Okay, that makes sense. I would like to point out some of my notes, some of
By
my
all means.
unfiltered notes.
Go
It's
ahead.
just a couple questions. Was y'all's mama a hoe too? Was my initial going back to you not making a connection with the mom. I guess I thought of her for a second too. And then I said at least Dominic, which would be the little brother, sees how fucked up it is. So I was with him for like he was just creeped out by the whole shebang as I was, but he never came with the hey, I know a little call center job around the corner. He didn't say none of that, but he saw that it wasn't ideal. And
Yeah,
then I
let's
said,
talk. Hold on. Wait. Let's talk about Dominic for a second. So Dominic,
okay,
the younger brother, he's there. He's not working either, but he's supposed to be trying. I think he and the Uncle Dan character, they go out drinking one of the days during the movie and come back and still don't have any kind of employment or whatever. And he seems to have an issue with Jezebel. Like, it stems. Like, there got to be something before this. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like he already had an axe to grind. Maybe the fact that she's there and he's kind of cramped and crowded. Uh, but he already seemed to have a little bit of an axe to grind with her or against her. So it's like the second that she's doing this, he's always got something to say. And I get it where he's coming from, but at the same time, if you're not helping, you're just hurting. You know what I'm saying? Don't why you got to shit on my parade and you not helping the situation at all. And a lot of people like that. Just naysayers, people to be mad and criticizing and critical and not bringing anything to the table positive. So I kind of discounted his character almost immediately as someone who's just there to bitch. You
I
know?
mean, granted, he is sucking up the food, the heat, the air, the shelter of said girl six job. So you're
Mm-hmm.
not feeling that judgy where you don't want to reap the benefits of it. So I could
Right.
see that. And
What was your?
then
Mm-hmm.
my next note is they pimping the hell out of y'all. They being Uncle Dan and Dominic. And then my best note says, "Are the men fucking too?" Because what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And not that the sisters are actually prostituting, but it's just like the nerve of you Negroes. I don't see y'all out being Chippendale dancers trying to make things happen. So
Yeah, I see that. I see that. Somebody sitting there being critical. I can see, like, she at some point the older sister does defend Uncle Dan as someone, that's my boyfriend. And I can't criticize someone's relationship if she's getting what she needs from that relationship emotionally. I can't criticize that. You can show me a little bit of how she gets some of that benefit from that relationship, and they
that would
do a
be
little.
nice. Yeah,
They do a
how is
little,
this exchange? What is he providing besides being
like,
just
care.
being there? Like what?
Yeah.
Why do you like him? Because I didn't see the appeal in him, and not just from a financial aspect, but from any aspect. Like
Hmm.
why do you like Uncle Dan? So yeah,
Yep. So as far as the story goes, Jezebel goes to this training, goes to the webcam place. She gets hired immediately, goes right into training, and you kind of see her emerge or start off as a little bit kind of frumpy. She got her little jumpsuit on, and they ended up taking her down to her bra and panties while they're doing this webcam stuff. And like I said, that was where it failed for me too. It was it doesn't have to be sexy. I get what in the sex industry, but it's got to be something. Like if it's gonna be, if you're gonna tell me you got a movie about a webcam model, I'm immediately going into it thinking, well, at the very least, I'm going to see, as a man, I like to see a little bit of skin, like to see a little bit of something titillating in some way, shape, or form. And this wasn't that. But if you're not going to give me that, then at least give me the emotional and the story payoffs that are going to give me, it's like, okay, now this was deep. This was kind of hardcore. Saying, wow, they didn't show a lot of skin, but the story was really engaging. And it wasn't that, you know?
This movie missed me by maybe about 15 years because I totally have mom eyes. Like I am just creeped out looking at little girls in bras and panties, and I legit feel like I'm looking at my kids' friends' daughters. Like, why are y'all doing this? Like, I am just so. You're so much better than this. Is the standpoint, and the fact that I can't get over that Jezebel, poor little Jezebel, was doomed before it started. I mean, we could jump back in, but my morality flags are jumping all out at me. I even have in
Mm.
my notes, why is this movie making me feel like a pervert? Like, I just can't. I want to jump into where we are as far as following the story, where she actually um the guys that are in the chat determine which of the girls they want to have a private message meeting with. And once that begins, you start to see, was it weird for you to see their conversation over the phone? Because apparently there's no sound with the video. They said this was the infancy of,
Oh, you're talking about the chat, how they kind of have the chat
yeah, and
displayed
that
on the
threw
screen.
me. I wasn't expecting that to be an aspect of this movie for some reason. I thought they would just Pornhub it up, upload. That was another. I'm like, well, why can't you just buy a video camera and do this from home? But I guess buy a video camera is easier said than done.
Hmm. No, with this one, didn't take me out of the experience too much. It was just when I started reading some of their texts and what they were doing, it just wasn't interesting. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how you would make it interesting for her to sit there and she's just kind of awkwardly typing. Half the time she's doing her thing. She's typing a response back, and he's typing these response, and it's like their conversation's not really scintillating. The only time I will say, because we're as far as the script describing the plot, we're not doing a great job describing. We're just kind of talking through it. But at some point after she gets hired, her mother dies. And again, we don't really see any impact of it other than one scene where they're all wearing black and they go out to, I presume, the funeral.
Hmm.
And so the act after that, the aftermath of that is she goes back to work, and one of her clients that she gets to do the private sessions with frequently, she's just kind of looking all dour and sad, and he's like, "What's the matter?" And they have a genuine connective moment over that, the Skype or whatever. And I thought that was interesting. I mean, I will give you that. That was interesting in that moment. But that was like the moment for me. The only real big moment in the film that kind of I saw that she was upset, and I was like, I didn't know where they were gonna go with it. I was kind of thinking that they were gonna be like, she was gonna get yelled at or something like that from her boss or something, saying, "Don't
Hmm.
be bringing that into the thing." And it didn't go that way. She basically found a way to turn that sadness and turned it back around, reconnected with the Jezebel character that she was supposed to be playing, and got the dude even more hooked, which I
Yeah,
think
she
that
used
was
that to her
supposed.
advantage. Yeah.
Hmm. And so I appreciated that. That was a character development moment, at least for me. But that's kind of where that's about the last time I really connected with the movie at all. You know, was because after that. it just kind of it doesn't just end, but what really happens after that?
Yeah, suppose it feels like the movie ends right before the worst thing that could happen to her happens. I'm gonna
Right.
go meet my creepy internet guy. Like, oh, that's a great idea. And then the movie ends. And we can't forget about Uncle Dan not disappointing. I would like to give my creep-o-meter a pat on the back because he did not disappoint. I knew he was going to be a creep. And eventually, once Tiffany turned into Jezebel, Uncle Dan was feeling it too. Well, hell, if you going to be living in my house, I know you're not a little girl anymore. He tried to push up on her. And that's when she was okay with moving out to me.
I think, yeah, I agree. It was very subtle, but you could tell if she would have hung around there too long, it would have been too long. You know what I mean? That something he'd have made a pass or something. Not that she would have reciprocated, but it wasn't nothing good that was going to come from that.
Yeah,
But
and
it
it
was just
wasn't
like that one
subtle to
moment.
me. It wasn't
No.
subtle at all because I felt her. So, it, I guess that was the benefit of seeing her as a child the whole time. I felt her uncomfortableness, and maybe that's a shout out to the actress who played Jezebel because I
Hmm.
felt super uncomfortable with him on it, with him sitting on the couch next to her, and at a brief point, he puts like his hand on her leg, which by anybody's standards, looking on the surface, it would be nothing. But I know that feeling of wishing you could disappear into the couch. Because what was she going to do if her sister didn't come in and interrupt them? Like, even if she said no, no didn't seem like a viable option or one that was going to be respected. So I was sweating bullets for her at that period in time. And I guess if the objective is to make me feel something, I did feel things in this movie. They just were the most uncomfortable feelings to have.
Well, I would argue that that's a valid feeling nonetheless. You know what I mean? Like, to me, when you watch like the movie Us, I went to that movie looking forward to being creeped out. I heard that it was, scary or whatever the case may be, but they leaned into stuff that creeped me out. And it's like it's a safe place where I can go and just, how often do you get creeped out in life in a safe place where there's no real danger? And so I valued that experience of when I went
Mm.
there and I was like, oh my God, this is such a creep. I'm so creeped out by this movie. So with this one, it was a different type of creepiness, but it did get to you. I mean, if it made me feel nothing, that's why I gave it a D, because it did give me something. It's just like I said, I would really wish they would have leaned into one of the things that they brought up a little harder to make it resonate a little bit more, to connect a little bit more to some emotionality. It could have been the mother. They could have gone there with a little bit further with Uncle Dan hitting on her and stuff like that, because there would have been something would, what I'm saying, that something would have happened in the film with it. But like you're saying, they just kind of touched on it. He did that. She immediately moved out. And by the end of the movie, he's barely in it anymore. They had one scene with the older sister, Uncle Dan and the older sister in bed together, having a private moment where she's kind of flirting with them and talking a little dirty talk. But ultimately, she was like, "I'm not actually having sex with you right now. I'm tired. We're not doing that."
And everybody
And
can
he,
hear us, and they're like, "Thank you." Yes, we can hear you, and thank you for your decision. Like,
so yeah, so yeah, I like that. That's my biggest thing. Like I said, I feel as though there was a lot of meat left on the bone when
I
they were
could
done.
give you that. Either you're gonna be a creep, do it big. Whatever you do, do it big. And they didn't do anything big. And I don't know if I necessarily would have liked the movie better. I probably still would have given it an F, just on my personal opinions
Hmm.
and uncomfortableness. But I guess I could have respected it more. But I also respected them not giving me too much. I It was hard enough to watch the creepy stuff that I found creepy.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I get.
If they would,
Well,
I might have had to cut it off if it would have went too deep into any of those situations.
hmm well, just as to say where the end is. So basically, just to summarize the very end of the movie, she gets hired at the place. She has she has these experiences. She meets that one guy that's her steady client. They go back and forth a little bit. That's I mean, there's plot to be. We're leaving some plot on the table for you to explore and for someone to explore and then watch the movie themselves. But by the end of the movie, she gets fired from her job because what was the reason she got fired again? Oh, she was being kind of a dominatrix a little bit with her guy, ignoring him, making him work for it a little bit. And she had a point. The guy was chasing her a little bit. He was being, like trying to get her to talk to him, and she was just like looking away and not going to give him any attention. And he was he was like chasing her a little bit. And I felt like she knew what she was doing, and she was second guessed by the owner, who just like, "You're fired," and he kicked her out. And then immediately, almost, well, yeah, in the movie, it seems like almost immediately changed his mind and wants to get her right back in there again because she was getting popular.
True, true. And she did have one Black Power moment where she could take being called. I kind of had a moment where I a little bit felt for her white girl counterpart,
Hmm.
and I couldn't explain why. He was like, "Well, I get called hoes and all type of stuff. You get called nigger one time, and it's all deals are off." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's a little unfair, but I'll take it." Yes, he cannot say that. You can
Right.
call me everything but that, because then I'm unable to keep acting like I'm Jezebel and everything is okay. So I kind
Yeah.
of did feel her on that.
Yeah. I was of two minds with it. I understood where she was coming from, but I also understood where they were coming from. It's like, you know, it's not what you called, it's what you answer to. And
Hmm.
it's like, she wasn't that's just some random guy saying some nonsense. And they didn't want to alienate this random guy and get his money. Like, so maybe he's not gonna ask you for a private dance, or maybe you don't do a private dance, private session. Maybe you don't do a private session with anybody that uses that type of language. Like, that's something she could a little bit more can control, versus coming out there and stomping and saying, "You gotta ban this person and do that," and making all these demands. So I saw it from both sides. I can't say how I'd feel in that moment myself, but I probably would have just, because I don't let words get me pissy like that. You're not gonna mess me up just because you said something that, screw you. I don't care what you think. I'm not gonna engage with you if I don't like what you're saying. But whatever. Um,
I could see that side, because at this point, how many other ways have you already been violated or disrespected? And so
mhm.
now the one word is your tipping point. So yeah, I could
Right.
see
And there's
that.
a lot. There's a lot going into her not having that job. Like, it felt like to me, like, yeah, you might be mad, even if she has the same reaction. But by the end of the day, when you consider all the weight that's on her shoulders at this point, trying to make a way for herself, got to get out of her sister's place, got to be able to stand on her own. This is what I have in front of me. This is how I'm making my money. You're gonna let that one guy stop you from making your money. It didn't seem authentic. And sometimes you don't do authentic things. Sometimes you do make those types of decisions, and I can respect that too. But like I
Hmm.
said, it didn't work for me in this movie. So at the very end of the picture, she is connected privately with the guy who's been her biggest patron on this web service. Like, they've actually talked on the phone a little bit, and she feels as though she's branching out a little bit. They're not allowed to actually talk to the people in real life, and it's a safety issue, is what they say at the web place. It's a safety issue. We don't want you to communicate with them directly. Don't give them your private information. She gets around that in the way that she does and
Hmm.
connects with the guy. He actually
Because
sends her
apparently
a
they're not
gift.
watching every single second. They're reading the transcripts. So
Right. Right. So she manages to connect with him. And so, like you're saying, by the end of the movie, the very end, her big sister is getting her all dolled up to go out and actually meet this person face to face, this married man with kids who she's been, getting private sessions with. They're going to go meet. And the one thing I will give them credit for that I did like was at the very end, the final shot of the movie, her getting her wig and stuff put on. She smiles for a second at herself looking pretty, and then you see the sadness of what situation is and what she's doing touch her eyes, and that's where it ends. So you don't even know what happens after that. It could be a perfectly fine evening, it could be whatever, but
It's
the
probably the
ambiguity,
beginning of the end.
it's probably, yeah, that's true. I thought it was
When
going
is
to go someplace like
never a
that.
good
06.
idea to see a John on your personal time. I mean, not that I know this profession well, but something tells me, oh boy, is going to be more creepy in person than he was on the web chat. But I guess
It's
the
possible.
guidance that she would have had maybe would have been in mom to tell her this is probably not a good idea. Matter of fact, the whole shit's probably not a good idea. They probably
See,
needed
but
their
that's,
mom for that.
yeah, but that's the thing. Her mom is dead, and according to them, she's not even able to communicate, really. Like they said, she couldn't talk. So maybe that's the point. I feel like we've talked it and examined it enough where it's not a D to me now. It's more of a D plus, because the fact that we've been able to get as much as we have gotten from it, talking about it, it wasn't nothing there. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
there's something to be seen there. Is it a great movie? I can't say that. No. Would I watch it again? No. But at the end of the day, if this is subject matter that is interesting to you in any way, shape, or form, it does have a story to tell. Like I said, it's just not a very engaging and entertaining story to me.
You know what? You're right. Let's go ahead and change the grade. F plus.
F plus. Okay, no B
Yeah.
minus. I've never seen F plus.
That's all I got for
uh,
you, Jezebel.
fine. Well, on that note, I think that's where we'll end this one. Uh, watch it, don't watch it. It's entirely up to you. But I hope they continue doing something, because at the end of the day, these people, these characters, these players, Miss Perrier, who put this together, they did something, and they made something, and God bless them for that. More people need to do the thing and make the thing that they've been talking about and thinking about. So, God bless for that part at least.
I'm blessed that I have you here to pull out the positive. Because I say, go ahead with Queen Sugar. I think that's your better move. Work on it. Come back to us with something a little less creepy. This one just didn't suit my taste.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, how can people? Where can people find you, Ash?
People can find me on IG at pretty underscore peculiar underscore, or they can just reach out to me at Twitter at Mrs. Ashley J underscore.
Okay, and for my Instagram handle, it's Scott.Fain. And anyway, thanks again for checking out Let Me Tell You About Jezebel. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace.
See ya.